Welcome to the Love Life with Lauren podcast with me, your host, Lauren Jobson. I'm excited to bring you practical tips, techniques, and insights on how to improve your daily experiences with your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. I am so excited. I'm going to be sharing the last Stop Self-Sabotage series, and it is the last sabotage we can do, the final principle and archetype when it comes to the principles of consciousness and manifesting. So I explain that as we go through. There's further context in different episodes. If this episode is of interest to you, make sure you go back and listen to all the other episodes, because this is the final way we can sabotage ourselves. So enjoy it. Go ahead and learn and take action. And I'd love to hear from you. Here we go. Okay. The final sabotage. Here we go. Are you ready to stop having a split direction and not venturing out into the world? You're holding back. You're not venturing out. You're holding back. What about, are you ready to gain direction and take personal responsibility for your results? Because you kind of, like, most people know their direction, but they're actually just scared of what it will mean when it comes to having to do it themselves and what that will mean when they have to take responsibility for doing that, like starting a business or something like that. Now, are you ready to parent yourself, which means to give yourself structure, to make plans, to create discipline that is right for you? I speak about that when I talk about organization. You've got to do discipline and organization that is right for you. And we also want to protect ourselves. We want to have unconditional love for ourselves, meaning no matter what we've done, no matter what's gone on, we can always forgive ourselves. Right? That's like a main concept to speak about that in the beginning of the book, because we've all had times where we're not happy with a behavior or something we've done or how we've, acted. And so we want to look at always forgiving ourselves, have unconditional love, and making sure then that you can take action towards your desires. Okay, because this is the principle. Do I love myself enough to take action with what I need to do so as to get the results I want? Because the principle is getting results. The secret is taking action. Every principle has a secret, and the principle here is getting results, and the secret is taking action. Like, it seems really obvious, but this is what we've got. Now, before I move on, I want us to look at the symbology of this picture, because each of the pictures have a lot of symbology. Okay, picture tells 1,000 words. This comes from ancient wisdom, by the way. These pictures are copyright by beautiful Pip Mackay, my dear friend and mentor. And she was initiated into this secret wisdom at the time. And then there came a time when it was absolutely necessary for her to start teaching this information. And now I teach this information. There's a lot of power in these pictures. They have a fantastic history, right? But we won't go into that today. As I want you to notice that behind the knight, this archetype of the knight, there is a black horse. You might not have noticed, but there's a black horse in the background, and the knight is on the white horse. So the black horse represents our pain. It represents, that we have pain, but we can move away from it. And a lot of our motivation as human beings is to move away from what we don't want. And the more we have built up unresolved pain from the past, it means that people are moving into their future, focusing on their past and moving away from what they don't want, and saying in their language things like, well, I don't want to have that. I don't want to have debt. I don't want to have this extra weight. I don't want to have this sickness, right? I don't want to have these kinds of toxic behaviors. And there's all of this focus on away from that pain, which can move people in a direction. The thing is, if we remain focused on all the stuff we don't want, we unconsciously and consciously attract, again, more of what we don't want in order to find our motivation. And it's the law of attraction of, if you're in the energy of the heaviness of life, then you're just going to feel that heaviness of life. Compared to, if we're on the white horse represents the focus on our desires, focusing on what we do want and learning from the past, but knowing and trusting and feeling like your future can be different. And it's focusing on all the great reasons of why you want what you want. And that way you're in this energy of lightness and trust, and you move into your future learning from the past, but focused on all the good stuff in your future. And this is why the knight is on the white horse. And the knight is important here because it is of chivalry. It is of duty and contribution. And it is, so in the light, in the ideal, because we do our archetypes from the way that the word was originally meant, the best of the human experience. And so this is chivalry again. As I say, it's not about going out to war. It's about having a mission, having a purpose, having direction, and, you know, rescuing others when they want to be rescued, not in the shadow of, say, people pleasing when they're not asking for help. But this is having a purpose where, right, I see a need in humanity and I'm going to go out there and help people. And this person, this knight that we all have within us, is protected. You've got your armor. So there can be this thing of, well, oh, if I start my business, or if I am the weight that I want to be and I'm looking really healthy and fantastic, well, then I might be, say, criticized, or I might be, say, too attractive. That's an unconscious thing, by the way. For a lot of women, it's been studied that it's a protection mechanism sometimes, that they actually don't want to be attractive to the opposite sex. Now, I'm not saying that being overweight is not attractive. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that sometimes it can create people's stuckness with the way they see themselves, because I believe weight doesn't matter at all. And this can be a thing where people have, you know, if I go and get what I want, well, maybe then I actually won't be safe, because it might be criticism. Now, we don't literally walk around going, will I be safe? But our body wisdom does. Because being safe is our ultimate, most foundational question that we're actually all striving to have. Safety, to stay alive. That's what our body, our reptilian brain, is programmed to do, is keep us safe. And that is why we stay in our comfort zones, right? You might have heard, you got to step out of your comfort zone. And so it's this appreciation that in order to get something different and new, it will be uncomfortable. It will be so uncomfortable. And that can be that your body, I think I speak about this when I speak about the ideas. So in one of the first 2 podcast episodes that you can listen back to, I talk very much about how uncomfortable things can feel when you go and you take action. And then your self-talk can start to give you these reasons and excuses. Oh, you know, no, maybe it's too cold to go for a walk. Or maybe our body is not going to be ready for that exercise. Like, your self-talk can create all of this chatter. And that's just the body old programming. It's not the body wisdom. It's the old patterns of, oh, are you sure? Because we haven't done this before. Are you still going to be safe? Right? But your soul calls you. If you have a calling to do something, if, you know, your inner wisdom just tells you, right, this is what you got to do, and it goes beyond logic, and it is scary, right? But it's like this inner knowing, I've got to do it anyway. You've got to get out of that comfort zone, and you will be rewarded. But it is this appreciation. I appreciate, you know, I'm going to say it, really successful people, happy people who get what they want in life, continually step out of their comfort zone, and they are protected. So I bring this up because, yes, there is a truth that you can be criticized. then there are some people who really need to appreciate that there's discrimination and bullying and aggression towards maybe certain religious beliefs. And some people then have to be, and it's very sad, I do find, they have to be aware of this point that there might be people who really start to put them down. But there's this thing of, how can you remain protected with, doing your inner work, having the beliefs, but also having the support and the people around you, being really clever in business, having all your copyright, your trademarks, being clever of, don't put your home address if you don't want your home address broadcasted to the world. So this principle says, go out into the world, but of course, remember your protection. Do the right things, have your boundaries so that you are protected, and know that there will be this part of you that feels scared, but notice it's just out of your comfort zone versus what is a true fear that you need to be mindful of. All right, now sabotage are things like lack of direction, blaming the outside world for your lack of results, lack of no boundaries or protection. Okay, say something like, if the truth is you have really toxic and abusive people around you, what's the boundary that you need to do? Is it to not see them anymore? Is it to not be as vulnerable with them and share certain things with those people? So depending on, of course, the situation, everything is context dependent, will depend upon what boundaries you need. But sometimes in the personal development world, people can think that, oh, if you're a loving person, well, you just have to put up with other people and kind of be pushed around and all this stuff. That's not true at all. These principles of consciousness tell us we must have boundaries, and we must enforce our boundaries at times as well. All right. What about not showing up in the world with who you are and what you really want? Okay. Because in the light of this principle, it's about taking action. It's about knowing that you have courage and protection, and you can feel safe, and you can hear your self-talk go, oh, but maybe it's not good for your body. But it's like, no, your inner wisdom knows the exercise is good. Just do the thing. Just because it's different and new, you can have your ways to make you remind yourself that you are safe, and your higher self drives you. And you can trust in that. You can trust in the resourcefulness and your resources that you have collected from your life. So this is saying that you have, and you need to trust that because of everything you've experienced up till today, you have got a bunch of resourcefulness. Now, resourcefulness are your inner resources: confidence, courage, protection, boundaries, assertiveness, leadership. All of the inner strengths that you can call upon are your resourcefulness, and resources are more the external things. So is it a mindset? Is it a tool? Mindset's more resourcefulness. But say, is it a tool? Is it support, people around you? Is it a system, right? So I have a bit of a checklist as well that you can go through about what resources might you need to help you take action. Okay, because here we go. This sabotage can be caused by a feeling of needing to rebel against something or someone. So sometimes we're not doing what's right for us and taking the right action for us because we're kind of living someone else's life, because say maybe the way we were parented, or someone in our world at a young age told us or gave us an experience, and we're then as an adult rebelling against that. And because we're rebelling, we're throwing out all the good stuff as well. And we're not then listening to what's best for us. So we want to use the previous lover's archetype with our self-love and use that discrimination and ask, what is the most important thing to take action on? And asking yourself, have I been hiding out of fear of something? And how can I protect myself while I show up and be seen fully in the world? And what can I learn from the past? What can you learn from the past? You'd have a whole heap of learnings. And it can be, if you focus on that thing you want to take action on, what can you learn about that from your past? All right, so make sure you take the time to journal on these things. I will send you the notes as soon as we're finished. Now, why do we self-sabotage in the first place? The 3 reasons, which I have been mentioning. So we're going to go through it now again, make it really clear. The number 1 reason is unconscious built up negative emotions from our past. Okay, so what we see in our world is our conscious mind is 4%, as I've mentioned, and our behaviors and results that we see, the top of the iceberg. But what's underneath in our unconscious is the built up emotions of anger, fear, hurt, guilt, sadness. If we've still got these emotions now, when we think of times in our past, that's what we mean by built up. That's what we want to have you let go of. You can totally have the choice and the ability and have the process and support. We use matrix therapies to really let go of all those built up negative emotions from the past. And what that means then is it's going to take a lot more in your future to make you feel those emotions, so that you will feel these emotions in the future. They're good emotions to have, but they're not good for you to hold on to. We know that they don't feel good to have, so we don't want to have them for long. We don't want to have them built up in our body, and we don't want to keep repeating feeling them from things that have happened in the past. It's time to learn from the past. Learn, take the lesson, but let go of the negative emotion. Totally let go of the negative emotion. And so we have a process we use to do that. And the second reason are the beliefs that I've been mentioning. Now, there are 3 core beliefs that we all have at some level. We clear them at a core level, and then anytime we have a place of growth, we might come across it again, but it's not the same. It's a higher level of it. It doesn't mean we're constantly feeling that as a problem. It can just mean we have another layer, another level to explore of it and work through, rather than if you've picked up a belief from the past, it's very likely then for this person, it's stopping that person from taking action and having self-love and all the good things that we need. So if we've got a belief like, I'm not worthy to have what I want, you're not going to get what you want because you don't feel worthy at a deep level. What about, I won't have love in the same way if I say make more money than my family and friends? Or maybe I won't have love in the same way if I suddenly change so much of my personality. Or, like when I say personality, I mean when you make a lot of change, you might fear unconsciously that you'd be a different person, and then that might mean something around love. Because if something is threatening the way you feel you're going to be loved, you're not going to change, because love is so important to everybody. It really is, to be loved and have connection. So we want to explore if we have any beliefs about getting what you want and the way that you see yourself being loved in the same way, and how you then belong. And what about, I won't be safe? So I brought this one up a lot. But all the other ones, the love and the worthiness, actually also ask, because will I be safe? If I'm not worthy, well, I'm actually saying I'm not safe to be me. You might be scared of criticism, negative people in your life, and it's this threat of safety. We don't think of it that way, but that's how the body feels it. If you're being criticized, it can be a threat to your safety. Okay. And the third reason we sabotage is negative influence of others. They don't have to be negative in nature. So then I'm not saying they have to be negative people. They can actually be really positive people in your life, but they could actually just have different beliefs and values to you. For example, maybe, okay, now this is just an example. You don't have to agree with me or believe the same thing, but here's the thing. Say this person grows up in a world where it's so normal to earn, say, just like 90,000, 100,000, and you kind of live paycheck to paycheck. You have a big mortgage, you just kind of get by. Maybe, yes, you can go on some holidays if you're lucky, right? But for this person in their world, a lot of their friends and family have this idea of this kind of thing. And they're really loving, supporting people. But then you've got this person who wants to earn more, who wants to do more than just a job and have a mortgage and go for maybe a holiday once every 2 years or a year. Like, this person wants different things. And so in all conversations with people they love, all it takes is saying, oh, you know, I'm now at multiple six figures, or I'm looking to, you know, build a really big, beautiful business that's supporting so many people, and I'm going to employ all these people, and everyone around them's like, wow, like that's big. But they can make comments and not realize, because the other people have beliefs and values that having like a big business is not important to them. So all it takes is a comment like, oh, well, it's easy for some, isn't it? Right? And they just make a comment about money that's coming from their limiting beliefs. And this person who wants more, now I'm not saying better or more, like there's no necessary, not any, that's not the word necessary. I'm not necessarily saying that it's better. I'm just saying that for this person, they want this thing that's different, simply different to what's been around them. And comments can influence this person. Emotions of the other people can influence this person. Maybe this person will then feel like, well, they might not love me the same way. And or who am I to make more money than all these people? Particularly, say, my parents, who may have sacrificed their passion and purpose to have me be happy as a child. Then this adult grows up and goes, well, yeah, who would I be to live my passion and purpose and make all the money that I want to, because my parents didn't get to? And this is just one small example. Now, it's small, but it's a big deal for people. It's one example of, you can actually have positive, loving, supportive parents, but it can just take those people, parents, were in a different environment, back in a different generation, right? It's a literally different environment. There were different things going on. The child grows up, and this is the nature of evolution. Evolution is meant to be that we create a different level of something, or we do something in a different way so that we actually evolve. But what happens with human beings, it's our natural way that we learn and pick up and become unconscious beings. Most of us stick with the unconscious and just become patterns of repeated behaviors. We're just repeating the patterns of our parents. So again, we are not necessarily saying that, you know, parental influence is a bad thing. What we are just saying, though, that is, if we don't let go of even loving, supportive influence such as our parents, we can just repeat patterns. And it's the question of, do you want to do health like your parents did? Do you want to do money like your parents did? Do you want to do relationships like they did? And maybe some of those answers will be yes. I'd be happy if I did that like my parents. But there'll be other things where the fact is, you are a different adult and you are in a different environment that's asking more of you. When I say more of you, it was asking different things of you than what was asked of for your parents. So we want to constantly just evaluate and look at, are you functioning from repeated patterns of the past and from repeated patterns of previous generations? Because if you are, that could be very likely stopping you from getting what you want, because there's no way your unconscious mind will allow you to change if fundamentally you feel like you're not going to be safe, you're not going to be worthy, or you're not going to be loved in the same way if you do something different that your parents didn't do, or if your partner didn't do, or your best friends, right? So we just want to, we're not saying we're going to let go of the other people. We're going to let go of their influence. And what we do is we don't say anything to them. We do a process inside of ourselves. We use matrix therapies to really define and look at, what have I picked up from someone else's influence that is not me? So I can cut the cords to what is not my truth. It's not what I want to value. It's not what I want to believe. It's going, what do I want for myself? What do I want to believe? What do I believe with my connection to my soul and spirit? What is my unique contribution that I was put on this earth to do and carry out? That when I disconnect the influence of others and previous generations, I can be free to be me, to create choice and do things in a totally different way if necessary and if wanted than what's ever been done before in your family history. Amazing. You can only do that if you truly identify what is not yours, and then what is yours and what is true for you. And coming into your own beliefs, values, and integrating your past inner children who experienced what they did, but to have them know they're no longer stuck back in their past. All of your past selves, your inner children, we have a process with matrix therapies where we disconnect from what is not you, but integrate all the parts that are you into who you are today, with who you want to be, with all your new beliefs and values to take into your future. Okay? So those are the 3 big reasons we sabotage, right? So it's like, why do we have clutter? Why do we not love ourselves? Why do we not take action, right? Why do we not have creativity or have our receptivity and receive what we want? Why do we not have joy and freedom? And right, all of the principles that I've gone through today and in previous sessions, the 3 reasons are because of this. We must resolve our past, again, disconnect from things that are not us, and integrate all of our beautiful inner selves, our past selves, to know that we are not back in the past. We can be free of our past. We can be present here in the future and create our future the way we want to. And I believe that's what I have to share with you around this. Now, Pip McKay created this diamond in the soul, which absolutely summarizes everything when we talk about in our work a lot of the things I've said to you tonight, the archetypes and this thing about beliefs. Now, because it's all just one slide, it looks like a lot of information, but I'll just quickly break it down. We've got spirit, mind, emotions, and body, which we're all made up of. Now, each of those components has a fear. So our emotions have a fear of loneliness, our body has a fear of pain, and our mind has a fear of failure. Now, our spirit, our soul, still has a fear, and it has a fear of, what if my life is meaningless? So meaninglessness. And so with the emotions having a fear of loneliness, well, then we want to be preoccupied with needing to belong. So the human need there is love and connection. And what this can be is people can go into rescuer mode with a drama cycle, because if they rescue others, well, then maybe they will be loved and belong. Can you see? So it can go into what we say the shadow. So the bottom triangle here of the diamond, that purple, is the shadow of these. So I'll just stay with the shadow for a moment. So then we've got the mind fears failure because it's preoccupied with feeling worthy, right? It wants to feel worthy. And the human need is significance. We want to all feel that we are significant as a human, unique human being. And in the drama cycle, this person can be the perpetrator. They can be the person that's blamed or the person acting out on others, even just like saying things in a particular way, being the leader, but the overbearing leader could be this perpetrator in this sense, because they're all about significance and worthiness. And now the body's fear of pain, well, the preoccupation then, of course, is survival, doing all that it can to feel that it can still survive. And this is where we're focusing on our human needs of safety, which are things like money, our health, our shelter, our comfort, and all of these things that make us feel safe. So the compensatory behavior of the body is a control freak, because if we can control the world, well, then we'll be safe, is what we're doing unconsciously, okay? We're not saying this necessarily makes sense, but this is what we're doing. And the major emotion then is fear. So, of course, if we have a lack of, like if we feel a lack of money and have scarcity and we don't feel safe, well, we're going to be in fear, okay? And the limiting belief then is, I'm not safe. I've spoken about that before. I'm not safe. With the emotions, we've got the compensatory behaviors, people pleasing. People pleasing being the rescuer to have love and connection. And the major emotions are sadness, guilt, resentment, because the limiting belief underneath that all is, what if I'm not lovable? What if I'm not lovable in and of myself? Okay? And the mind, with the fear of failure, the compensatory behavior is perfectionist. So if you have any kind of thing of perfectionism, well, it's because there's a major emotion of anger, and the limiting belief underneath it is, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not deserving. Now, if we look at the spirit for a moment, if the fear is meaninglessness, well, the preoccupation, we get busy focusing on our passion and purpose. That's actually a good thing. What if our life is meaningless? Well, if we override that by focusing on our passion and purpose, well, that's kind of cool. That's cool. It's our contribution. Because the human need there is growth and evolution. The behavior is actually just taking action. So this is in the light. There's no shadow to this. The major emotions are joy, compassion, trust, and the belief is abundance. So what we get from this is the answer. The answer to a lot of things for us is to know our passion and purpose. It's to know, what do we contribute? Because notice now in the circle going around, we've got contribution and compassion. So for as long as we want to contribute and have compassion for ourselves and others, we can be in our spirit and we can focus on our passion and purpose. If you've ever learned anything about the drama triangle, if you're ever caught up in these things of rescuing, of drama, of negative emotions, if you're caught up in fear of failure and perfectionism and safety, if you're feeling scarcity with money and like all these threats with your own basic needs, the answer is to focus on your passion and purpose. It's to focus on your unique contribution with your compassion for yourself and others. If you're caught up in codependency and worried that you don't fit in and trying to find your people and feeling and questioning, am I lovable? Guess what the answer is? The answer is, if you focus on what makes you unique and you focus on your contribution and your compassion, you will find the right people for you. And this is where your answers are. Your creativity in the middle there, it's got creativity. Your connection to your contribution, to your spirit, grounds your spirit down to solve the physical problems. That's what the middle here says. It's grounding your spirit, using your creativity, finding creative ways to solve physical problems because you know your passion and purpose. What do we mean by passion and purpose? We actually have a structure that comes from ancient wisdom. Pip Mackay created the structure from this ancient wisdom around this idea that our soul chose the meaning that we love about what we do, that for as long as what we love about what we do is there, it doesn't matter what we do. It's the meaning we put to it. It's about what we get from it. For example, for some of us, it's for as long as we have connection with another human being and a deep understanding and connection with others, that no matter if that's in customer service or building or accounting or talking and presenting or coaching or anything, if you are connecting with other human beings, you are living your passion and purpose. It's such a freeing concept because in our work, we stop going that your passion is not one thing that you do. Rather, it's who you are being and the meaning you put to what you do that's important. Okay? It's the way you are being and the meaning you get from what you do that's important. So I've said about connecting. Another example is some people love this feeling of being super organized. So some people have that archetype in their soul that for as long as they have organization, again, whether that's teaching, being a parent, being a chef, being a builder, anything that you do, for as long as somebody has organization, they are living their unique passion and purpose. Isn't that cool? It's so, so cool. So we have a program called Passion and Purpose Coaching. It's a 3-day program, and it allows you to find your 3 soul archetypes. Your 3 soul archetypes that when you are in them, you are your best self, you're your most passionate self, and you're living your passion and purpose. So at a 3-day live online training, you find your 3 passion and purpose archetypes. I haven't said that clearly on dot point 1, but okay, you're going to find out of a possible 8 that you have 3 energies that when you are in them, that's all that matters. You are going to be living your contribution. What is that first thing that you need? For me, it is connection. That is my first archetype. For me, it's the lover's archetype. But for someone else, it could be organization. It could be freedom, or it could be knowing what you want, the result. So there's many layers to it, but we teach you the archetypes in depth, but in a way where you get to learn your 3 and you connect with them and understand what makes you passionate and what's made you passionate your whole life. We do it in a way where we connect with you when you were a child and all the things that you love to do, and then when you're a teenager and so forth. And it's so fantastic and fun because you connect with all the most amazing things you've loved in your life. And by the way, then you have a talent archetype, which is what you specifically get paid to do. And they work in a particular order that when you do them in order, you are in flow, you are in your genius, you can solve your problems best. On the 2nd day, you focus on one area of your life, and we get from your archetypes what they want for you in this area of your life. The best parts of you get to remind you, what do you want in this area of your life? Then we do a really fantastic, elegant process, which uncovers very quickly any limiting beliefs and negative emotions that are holding you back from fulfilling these ideals. So most people, I believe, I could say the majority, focus on the area in which they make money. For some, it could be relationships or health, right? But if we focus on money for a moment, people notice that they need to have things like freedom, or they need to have more organization, or more connection with people, or more creativity, right? And so we discover what are these things that you need more of to make more money and to be happier in what you do for work. And then we look at, well, what's been stopping you from having those things? What's been stopping you? And it's been things like negative beliefs, not worthy, not good enough, won't be loved, I won't be safe, all of this stuff. You clear that. And on day 3, we do goal setting from your archetypes. We have you step in and become your archetype and give yourself advice from the best, most passionate parts of you. And you live the dream plan. It's a unique goal setting process. And if you've done any other work like NLP or other modalities, it can become a life coaching certification where you can use passion and purpose coaching with clients if that's something that you want to do. And that is why we offer it at $1,995 for the 3 days, because it is a certificate. So even if you don't see yourself coaching, you might, after the event or maybe doing another event, go, actually, I do want to see clients. I've got all these amazing skills now. And it has then become a certification for you. So there's a certain amount of hours. We will talk about that if you are interested. And so let me know if you want to have a chat. We can arrange that. Because, by the way, there are 22 principles of consciousness. The first 8 here are the ones that are possible for our passion and purpose soul archetypes. Okay, and then you've got 2 more lines, which we look at in our different retreat programs. So you can check us out, have a good chat with me if you're interested. We do 30-day guarantees where you join, you get access to our membership sites, and you talk to us if you ever did want to consider that, and we can make that happen. We don't have that happen. People love our programs. I'd love to hear from you. And even if you've done the programs before, this is to everybody. Let me know how you're going, any questions you have, and I just send you all my love and best wishes. I hope you gained some helpful insight into how you can love yourself even more today to create a life you love. Remember, life is a process and you are in process. So all of your feelings are valid and can lead you to incredible learnings and growth if you only choose to be self-aware and self-accepting, to connect into yourself and listen to that beautiful inner wisdom of yours. Please come over to my socials, including Instagram at Lauren Jobson, and to share with me what you learnt from today's episode by commenting on this episode's post. I'd love to connect and hear from you. Subscribe and share the love by sharing this podcast with others. I hope to be in your ears again in the next episode.